Welcome back, everyone. I'm Aric from Rayquaza, and today I'm pretty stoked because we finally got the announcement of kind of the fate of Dragon Pokemon in the Pokemon TCG. You know, back when Sword and Shield first got announced, they formally announced they were axing Fairy Pokemon and just kind of quietly stopped making Dragons. So a lot of people in the community, myself included, have kind of been wondering, what's going on with Dragon Pokemon and what was going to be their fate. But today we finally got the answer, and it looks like Pokemon just kind of took some time and they were going to relaunch the mechanic, and that's what we're getting here. We have the first batch of cards being revealed from the next Sword and Shield sets. In Japan, they're called Skystream and Towering Perfection. These no doubt will be in our Evolving Sky set, so it won't be too long before we get to mess with these. But today we're going to talk about some of these new cards and also just some of the changes that they've made to the Dragon type going forward, for the Sword and Shield era. So a lot of these cards are actually pretty good. There's some other non-Dragon ones that are also good that we're going to check out too. But yeah, let me actually just go over some of the changes they made to Dragon cards. I think it's probably easiest to tell with a non-ultra rare one. So we'll just grab this Flapple here. Okay, so at a glance, it looks kind of like a normal Pokemon card, but there's some interesting design choices they've made for these cards that makes me wonder if there's, something deeper to this type mechanically that we don't know about yet. But what I mean by that is if we check out right above the energy symbol here, we have these like dragon claw mark looking things, which is kind of a cool touch. But again, this is something that's unique to dragon types. I mean, you can see even the other cards in this set, like this Ampharos, doesn't have anything like that. But again, all of these dragon cards have this mark here. They also have the dragon energy symbol kind of like ghosted into the background of the card here, kind of like the old black and white era secret rares. Again, this is unique just to dragon types. The Ampharos and none of the other cards we're going to look at have this. And the other thing I noticed is also in the weakness resistance area here, the left hand part of the weakness container here is a gold color. Again, if we look at any of the other cards, including the Ampharos or anything else here, it's just the standard silver. So it just kind of really stands out to me that there's these weird new design changes to the cards when mechanically they're no different really than any other type in the game, save for their weird energy costs. But yeah, I think that's very interesting. I'm wondering if that's indicative of anything else that might be coming in the set. This is only a batch of cards from the set, so there very well might be other stuff going on we don't know about. But I mean, I think these things are cool, but I wish they would do it to all of the types in the TCG or none. Just, it doesn't make sense randomly doing it for dragons. But yeah, so I'm still kind of wondering what else might be coming in this set. But by and large, the rest of the cards for dragons are kind of how you guys remember them. They are kind of akin to the gold cards from Magic, where they have, they need multiple types of energy to do their attacks. A lot of times they're going to be a little bit stronger as a result. So yeah, the core of the dragon type seems to remain intact, but some of the other changes they've made mechanically are going to be the lack of a weakness and resistance. And this is the case for all of the cards we're going to look at today. And I do think that's a little bit interesting. Prior to them getting axed, we had them weak to Fairy. Previously to that, they were weak to themselves. But, even though I think it would have made sense to make them weak to themselves again, with Fairy type being gone, I actually do, from a gameplay perspective, like that they have no weakness. Because, guys, they have these funky energy costs. They're not always easy to get powered up. So I think that is kind of a nice balancing measure to where they can't really be hit for weakness ever in the game. So I do kind of like that from a gameplay perspective. But other than that, like I said, guys, dragon cards are back kind of in the same form that you knew them. But these cards I think are actually really solid. There's a lot of stuff to get excited about in this set here. So let's take a look at what we got coming out. So we have a Flappy. This is going to be the first card that really is noteworthy. Going to be, I think, one of the best cards probably in this set. But once during your turn, you may attach a lightning energy from discard to one of your benched Pokemon. And it has the Dynamotor ability, same name as the old ability on Electric, which incidentally also was paired with a very strong Rayquaza card from the black and white era. So that's kind of cool. If you were a fan of Ray Eels from back in the day, I think you're going to like the cards we're looking at today. So yeah, this is definitely a really good card to have in the game. Lightning Pokemon outside of Bolton haven't had that much great energy acceleration. Like think of a card like Pikachu VMAX. That card was like the main mascot of Vivid Voltage, but the card just completely flopped when it came out because it has no way at really reliably getting set up. And a card like Mareep here is going to help all of our lightning Pokemon going forward. So sick card for sure. Isn't probably going to be hard to get either, being an uncommon. So yeah, stoked on that thing. And first, not too good. But let's take a look at our Dragon homies that are coming out. So we got Dragonite V up first. I don't remember this one being particularly good. Yeah, slash for 50, goes through any effects, and then its other attack for Water Colorist is 250 and 20 to each of your bench Pokemon. And it's funny, it says don't apply weakness and resistance, but hey, nothing's weak to Dragon, that we know of at least. So yeah, this card I don't think too great. I mean, Zacian does essentially the same amount of damage. I don't think there's a big difference between 230 and 250. So just play Zacian, it's easier to get set up. But still nice to have Dragonite back in the game, of course, as a Dragon Pokemon. But yeah, next up we have, one of the most important cards here is going to be Rayquaza V and VMAX. The V actually not horrible. Spiral Burst for Fire Colorist, Fire Lightning. You may discard 2 of either type of energy. It does 20 plus 80 for each you discard, so not awful, but the VMAX is going to be the main one here. So both these cards are Rapid Strike cards, which is important to point out. So they will have access to the Rapid Strike toolbox, including there is, I forget what it does off the top of my head, but there is a new Lightning Rapid Strike tool coming out in Chilling Reign. So this might be one of the better Pokemon to maybe abuse that. But Rayquaza VMAX's thing is pretty cool. You discard your hand and draw 3, which not too bad, I have to say. So if you get out a couple of these Rayquaza VMAXs, you're just gonna be able to plow through your deck. You're gonna have an insane draw engine. So this ability really, really good. And the attack also, it's basically the same thing as Rayquaza V, but it doesn't have a cap on the energy you can discard. So it has, in theory, an unlimited damage cap. So with this guy and your Mareeps, you can recharge this thing ideally every turn and just nuke anything in sight. So yeah, Rayquaza VMAX, this thing hits very hard, doesn't have a weakness, 320 HP Rapid Strike. Yeah, this thing is solid. I really do like Rayquaza VMAX, so definitely think this card's going to be good when it drops. But let's see, we have a Flapple. So we just checked this guy out earlier, but 50 for each of your opponent's Pokemon play with an ability, so not too bad. There was a Weavile back from the Sun and Moon era that had, I believe it was the same ability, and Weavile did see some play, so you never know. Flapple might not be too bad at some point here. Just for a colorless energy means it's going to be fairly splashable. Can't hit anything for weakness though. That is the downside, since right now we don't know of anything that's going to be weak to Dragon. More than likely nothing will be, so that's still kind of an okay attack. And then other one, if your opponent's acted as a Pokemon V, it does 80 plus 80. So 160, not too bad, but yeah, I think the first attack is a little bit better. So yeah, we have Zinnia's Resolve. You can discard 2 cards from your hand to play this card, then draw 1 card for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play. So not too bad. I mean, your opponent has a full bench, excluding going against something like Eternatus. You're going to cap out at what? Discard 2, draw 6. It's not awful. I don't think it's particularly great though either. But this stadium's actually pretty good. I do like this one. So it's kind of like the old Brooklet Hill, same type of thing, but for different types of Pokemon. So once during each player's turn, they can search their deck for a basic Lightning or Dragon Pokemon, put it on their bench. So yeah, this is definitely a solid stadium. Brooklet Hill, solid ton of play, and I don't see any reason why this wouldn't either. Especially since you want to sort of like flood your board with a bunch of Flaffies to be able to accelerate a ton of energy every turn. Definitely seems like a natural sort of stadium to play, maybe in the theoretical Rayquaza VMAX deck. Alright, so we have an Altaria here. So Altaria says, once during your turn, you may search your deck for a supporter card or reveal it. Then shuffle your deck and put that supporter on top. So it's kind of like a weaker version of the smooth over Magcargo back from Celestial Storm. Not sure how great this is going to be. You know, Magcargo was good because you could get any card. But I guess if you have like a really weird techie supporter line, maybe Altaria can help. I don't I'm not too sold on this. But 90 HP and free retreat is also good. Free retreat, self-explanatory. 90 HP means we can search out the whole line with level ball. So yeah, not the worst thing in the world. We have a single strike Dialga over here. So Chrono Wind, 80. If they are a Pokemon V, they can't attack. But of course, if your opponent plays a switch or just retreats, this whole effect is just going to get nullified. So not a great attack here. The other attack also equally kind of weird. Being a single strike Pokemon with these weird energy costs, these really can't be helped with Houndoom. So yeah, not a big fan of this card. We have a Hydreigon here. So the first attack on Hydreigon is like kind of okay. Oops, does 20 plus 100 more for each prize card your opponent took during their previous turn. So in theory, of course, guys, if your opponent knocked out one of your VMAXs or tag teams on the previous turn, you can do 320 damage, which is pretty wild. I don't think if you're a VMAX deck, you're playing Hydreigon. I mean, maybe you do. Like, I guess you could play like Shadow Rider Calyrex as a form of energy acceleration. But, I don't, doesn't seem that great to me. But yeah, probably not going to be the best card in the world. We got my homie Noivern. This is one of my favorite Pokemon ever. Really excited that we're getting a Noivern V. This card's like kind of okay. It's not as good as I would like it to be, but it's still cool to have Noivern as a dragon type here. So it has Boom Burst, 20 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. But this isn't too bad because we do have Telescopic Sight. So turn 1 going second, Psychic Energy, Telescopic Sight, spread 50 to everything. Not the worst thing in the world. This second attack, also not too bad. So if you and your opponent have the same number of cards in hand, does 180. So I think it's actually kind of cool because like one of the issues that spread style decks have is, they're just doing like chip damage. They don't usually have great ways at closing out games. But if you're Noivern here, you actually have another attack you can kind of lean on if you do want to, quickly do a large amount of damage. So I'm going to mess with this card when it comes out just because I love Noivern, but probably not as good as something like Rayquaza VMAX that we just looked at. Okay, we have Duraludon VMAX, which of course is going to be a single strike card since Rayquaza was Rapid Strike. That makes sense. These are the main mascots of the set. But yeah, let's see. The ability prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by the attacks of each of your opponent's Pokemon that has any special energy attached to it. So this ability, pretty good. We've seen this in the past on things like Aegislash EX, just as an example, which was a pretty solid card. So that's definitely not bad, especially since we have a lot of good special energy right now. Speed Lightning, Horror Psychic, Capture Energy, Rapid Strike Energy, Single Strike Energy, etc. So I do like this ability. And its attack here, Fighting, Metal, 220, and isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So I think at a glance, this attack seems like kind of weak, being on a Dragon Pokemon, but even though this is a Dragon type Duraludon, we do still have a Metal one in format, which is important to point out because you can Metal Saucer to it, which does make a difference in getting Duraludon VMAX potentially powered up. So yeah, I think this card's okay. It doesn't strike me as being quite as good as Rayquaza VMAX, but I think this card is a lot more flexible in a way because you hit for a very solid 2-shot number here. 220 knocks out all of the Pokemon V. And 2 shots VMAXs and tag teams, but you have this pretty solid walling ability, and also similarly you can get through any opposing wall Pokemon as well. So Duraludon, I actually kind of like this card, not too bad. Yeah, Drampa. Wild art on this thing. It's definitely the craziest looking Drampa I think we've seen so far. But the second attack here, Berserk, 70 plus 90 if any of your bench Pokemon have damage counters on them. So kind of actually like the old Drampa GX from Guardians Rising. Different typing here and different energy costs, but same sort of attack. Hitting 160 is a good number as well. That 2 shots most things. You will need like a Vitality Band or something like that if you do want to guarantee a 2-shot against certain Pokemon, but it's not the worst card in the world, just nothing special though. Alrighty, so looking at our last cards here, we have Raihan. I think that's how you pronounce his name, or Raihan. But I do like this card here. So it says you can only play this if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. But you choose one basic energy from your discard and attach it to one of your Pokemon. Then search your deck for any one card and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. So this is pretty cool. So this is, of course, one of the ways they're pushing at powering up your Dragon-type Pokemon, just because they do have these funky attack costs. But being able to search your deck for any card is something that's really solid. I like this. So this could actually be used in a couple different things. After Rosa rotates, this could definitely take the place of something like that. Since it fills kind of the same role, it helps you get your basic energies, and this one even attaches them. Plus, I mean, you're sacrificing the ability to get an additional card, but the one card you can search out is going to be, anything you want. So I think this card is really cool. I like this one. And Crystal Cave, this stadium I don't think quite as good as the other one we just checked out, but it says once during each player's turn, that player may heal 30 damage from each of their metal and dragon Pokemon. So, it's fine. I mean, I guess actually the healing from metal could be good because metal has so many tanking options right now. You could play this kind of like how Rough Seas used to see play, very similar sort of stadium here. So maybe this could be good for some sort of tanky metal deck, but for dragons, I don't know if it's going to make too much of a difference. Here, I think the only other new card is going to be a Turtonator. These are just some alternate arts. But Turtonator, again, kind of similar to an older Turtonator we had. First attack, Shell Trap. If you are damaged next turn, put 8 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So, yeah. Nothing too crazy though, but overall, guys, I'm really excited to have Dragon Pokemon back. I was kind of apprehensive they were just going to cut the type altogether from the game. And in terms of how they're being reintroduced, I guess I'm okay with it. I mean, they still have the same issue of having these really funky attack costs. And we have yet to see anything like Double Dragon Energy get a reprint in Standard. So we'll have to just kind of wait and see what happens, because these are only a small sample of cards from these sets. Each set's going to have 67 cards. So yeah, there's going to be a lot coming out that we still don't know about, which could definitely potentially impact the playability of these cards. But definitely, I think the standouts out of this small little sample that we have is going to be, of course, the Flaffy Rayquaza VMAX combo. And of course, I also have a soft spot for Noivern V. This is probably my other more anticipated card, just on a personal level, not because it's like particularly groundbreaking. But yeah, guys, I was really excited by this news. This caught me off guard, and happy to have dragons back in the game. But I'm definitely curious, what are your thoughts? Do you like this reintroduction of dragon Pokemon into the TCG? Is there anything you would have changed about how this mechanic works? What cards from this batch are you most looking forward to? Let me know down below in the comments section. But that's going to wrap up things today. Of course, if you did enjoy today's content, be sure to smack that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. That way you'll be up to date whenever my next video drops. And if you want to take your support to the next level, you can also become a patron at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or pick up some merch over at rarecandytcg.com. It would mean a lot. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.